What is up, y'all? So we are watching an episode of Unfiltered Waters today, and we're going to react to it. Todd Desorbo, definitely Katie Hoff is in this one. You know, she's always the main host. I'm not sure if there's anybody else, a co-host there. But let's see what they're talking about. You know, I said this before, I don't know if I said it here, I'm an Eddie Reese purist. What Eddie says goes. If you go against Eddie, even though you might be second place almost or catching Eddie, if it ain't what Eddie said, I don't believe it. You could beat Eddie, I still ain't gonna believe it. Or what you believe in. So it's gonna be interesting. The thing I like about this episode is obviously Todd is a very gifted women's coach. And he's kind of in a peculiar spot. Right. So, and what I mean by that is with girls, you have to actually be able to coach. There's like, if you can't coach, you can't hide from it. Right. Men have testosterone, so you can kind of get away with not knowing good technique or not writing the correct sets or putting them in the wrong groove because the testosterone is going to compensate. Excuse me, guys. For some of their mistakes. But with girls, like, you got to know how to coach. Right, obviously, you know, they have, these are girls, they're athletes, so they're going to be a little bit more androgynous than, the normal athletic girl. These are high-level girls. But even then, like, you got to know, like, what are the correct lifts for them, how to give them sets, how to make them, you literally have to be able to make them move through the water better. And I say he's in a particular situation is he has a lot of all-world girls. So I'm sure some of their just natural, you know, Eddie calls it having a gift, is some of their natural gifts probably make up for, or maybe not, right? Make up for if he's not a good coach, right? I'm not saying he is, but if he wasn't, right? So it's kind of in this interesting spot where it's like, yeah, he's clearly a great women's coach, which means you have to be able to actually coach a girl to swim faster, but these are also, you know, uber talented, like, girl athletes swimming at levels we've never seen before. So I'm interested to find out what's what in this podcast. So shout out to Unfiltered Waters. Wow. Shout out to Unfiltered Waters. Let's jump in.
And another episode of Unfiltered Waters. And we're back.
I hate when this happens. Give me a second, guys. Oh, no. Okay. So, guys, we're going to have to listen to this through my mic, unfortunately. Well, hold on. Maybe not. Let me see if I can do this real quick, guys. Yeah, I can't do it. All right, guys, let's go.
Back with the audio this week, so audio listeners, sorry about that, but it was just too much fun to be able to bring Day in the Life at UVA to you all, and we will certainly, based on your feedback, be continuing that trend as we move into 2026. But we got the distinct honor of live interviewing head Olympic coach from 2024 Paris Olympic Games, 5-time NCAA champion coach Todd.
Look at this.
First, I use my Dream Tape Plus.
Oh, God. I need to download.
If I were him, I'd...
To make sure that I'm calming
So they over here getting to the money. Shout out.
down my nervous system and signaling to my body that it is time to go to sleep. Again, they've got those dream strips. If you're not quite ready for the full mouth taping, you can kind of ease your way into it. And then I'm using my nighttime blue light glasses. They just came out with some brand new frames. They're so sick. They're beautiful. And they're such a vibe. And
All right. All right, Katie, we'll let you get to the money. We're moving on. Oh, we got some more money. Let's let him get to the money real quick.
got endless pools. If you're looking to set certain paces and really get better at your stroke, you've got endless pools. And the best part about it is their HydroDrive technology makes it feel so smooth.
That is a fly vest. That is a fly vest right there. I could rock that. That guys right there. If you're a guy, that's a chick magnet. Just so you know.
Smooth. It feels like you're swimming just in an actual 25 or 50 meter pool. And so we've partnered with Endless Pools to give you guys the best.
I was impressed.
Thank you.
When you told me you were going to swim, I was a little concerned.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
What impressed you most?
Yeah.
Well, one, just to survive the whole thing.
Yeah.
But like it wasn't survival. It was thriving. It was good.
I love
That's
thriving.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I mean,
He lying. He lying.
literally, I sent you that. Like, I texted you and you were like, well, do you have workman's comp insurance? And I was like,
How's your life insurance
I did.
policy?
I need
3 days out of mid-season meet. So you guys are resting. So humbly, I acknowledge that was not.
I'm still impressed though.
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, we're gonna take that, and we're gonna leave it at that.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I think it was a perfect workout to get your feet wet with.
I think so too. I said to
intended.
Katie, yeah, actually, no pun intended. I said to Katie in the car, I loved, first of all,
Shout out to Beisel.
I'm not coming from a speed background, obviously, so this was like new to me in so many ways. But one thing that kind of stuck out to me was the practice that you wrote. It was like one of those parts was 550s. And normally in my life, I do 450s. And it's like that fifth one is the one that like I was done.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, I'm assuming that's maybe a theme of just like how you coach and stuff. So it was really cool to be like, oh, I have a small glimpse into why this team kicks so much ass because you push just like that extra.
Yeah.
I feel like you have to have that. So it was cool. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. The culture was really cool. Like, we were talking to some of the girls at coffee and they were just saying like how interconnected was the word they used. The team is of just everyone is truly, because everyone works their ass off. That's very apparent. And then everyone is truly rooting for each other, which is not, like you said, that's not always the case.
I was getting cheered for today.
I was too.
All right, come on. Let's get to the action, boss.
For 6, nobody has ever done that. I imagine it's always on your mind, but how do you balance that thought every day?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think about it. You know, and I don't think the team thinks about it that much either. We don't talk about it much. We talk about it very beginning of the season when we're talking about the team's goals, and they talk, and it's their goals, and then we don't talk about it. It's not really mentioned. It is in passing here or there, but it's really not talked about at all until we get to NCAAs, and even then, it's not necessarily talked about.
I'm gonna say this. This guy's gonna be this guy's obviously he is unstoppable, but he's gonna be unstoppable coaching girls. If you know, you know. No, that's not a rainbow flag thing. But if you know, you know. Yeah. Yeah. All the fast girls are gonna want to swim for him, for sure. Girls in general.
Right.
It's just we have a mission. Here's the mission. Let's go to work.
It's unspoken.
Yeah.
I like that.
How often are you meeting with the team and like going over goals and stuff like that?
We meet. I'd say I'd like to do it more, but it's hard because I just don't want to take more of their time. And a lot of those meetings happen outside of practice or things like that. So I would say at least once a month, maybe at most every 2 weeks. Typically we'll meet there like when we have a dual meet, like the next weekend we'll meet, or next week we'll meet. And so usually we'll meet following some sort of event that's happened.
Yeah.
I feel like the best coaches are ones that it always just appears like you're having a great time and like it's not as orchestrated, which I know is the opposite. Like, what is something that people would be surprised about, or do you feel like maybe the program is misunderstood a little bit?
Well, I would say, I don't know if this is what you're looking for, but the thing that pops in my mind is people think we're a sprint program, and that's all we do.
Oh yeah.
and so, but I think if people saw what our 400 IMers are doing, or our milers are doing, or our 500 freestylers are doing, or even some of our 200 freestylers, they'd be like, okay, yeah, they're trained.
All right, so I'll say this. My first thing that comes to mind, this is just me, we're being analytical. We're not talking trash. If I ain't talking about your mama, we ain't talking trash, right? To me, just based on him, not necessarily the athletes, because the athletes, you know, they're kids. They're gonna behave like teenagers and kids who don't have their frontal lobe fully formed, right? And this is off of clips, right? And not really even seeing their athletes. I'm talking about the coach, right? And not even seeing their athletes when they're like in the zone and how long that lasts. And like, I get the vibe of unseriousness. I know that sounds crazy because they win so much. I'm talking about purely like the vibe of the coach. Because what I see, right, he's always like, he's happy. This is going to sound crazy. He's happy. He's like encouraging. Maybe this is just, no, I was going to say maybe it's me being toxic. It's not. Like, I never see. So, okay, all right, beat this. For him to not be mad, that means that he's successfully always finding the limit of the athlete's potential, right? To a point where they haven't ever done something unacceptable or intolerant of anything, right? I get just his vibe seems like he's a very tolerant person. They obviously have standards, but it just seems like, I mean, I don't think you'd ever see Eddie mad, right? They ain't gonna show that, but Eddie's a very stern individual. Like, you can tell Eddie's serious, right? Just through his interviews or clips, you'd be like, okay, Eddie's serious. Man, I don't get the same vibe from Todd. Now, obviously, it's just like how people will be like, A doesn't care about winning. You don't win 15 titles not caring about winning. You don't have 3 3-peats and 2 4-peats not caring about winning, right? So obviously he is a very serious person and a very successful coach. And so are his athletes, right? You don't get that without taking yourself serious to a high degree. But it's just like, just watching it, like I'm assuming these things because I know it goes into winning, right? But just like watching, like that's the vibe I get, that they're unserious. Just being analytical, not talking trash. Not even saying they need to change. Clearly, they don't need to change.
I think people think that we do low volume, high intensity, and that's all we do. And we do. A portion of our program is doing that. We saw that this morning. Like, you guys did that. Yeah. But there's a whole other group on the other side of the pool going 7K and, you know, getting some volume and stuff like that. And so I think
This is Buick now.
an
Sorry,
individual,
guys.
I will not name names, recently, early this year, maybe it was in the summer, I can't remember, it was in the fall, said, we heard, so this is a rumor, but this is perfect for this situation, that an individual said, oh, that's a learn to swim program about the University of Virginia.
What? I need to know off camera who that was. Well, this is the best damn learn to swim program ever. Yeah.
Basically a knock that we don't
you don't work.
Like, we don't work. We just have.
See, that's what I'm talking about. You see what I'm saying? Learn to swim program. It's just the vibe seems, and swimming's a nice guy sport, so people probably would never say that, like I just did, and like apparently this person did. But that's just the vibe. But this guy's apparently dumb enough to actually believe his own comment. You cannot be an unserious team and an unserious person and win the way they win. You can't. It just doesn't happen. Doesn't happen.
Which, you know what? I'm okay with that.
That's kind of props to you guys.
Right? Like, yeah, we have fun. It's
That
fun.
is the vibe.
And also that goes into what I was talking about with girls, right? If it's a learn to swim program, you got to actually be able to teach these girls how to swim if they're going to get faster, because they don't got a lot of testosterone to help them cut corners. So I guess the guy's right, technically.
On deck, I mean, geez, we did the practice this morning. You work hard. I'm not saying that just to like counter this person's argument, but they were getting their ass kicked, and they're athletes. You and I were definitely getting our ass kicked because we're not in shape. But there is the culture and camaraderie on deck that is like so apparent that I was subject to. And I don't even know these girls personally, other than a few of them. They know my name. They're cheering me on.
Maybe I'm just, sorry I'm pausing this so much, but I just be noticing things and I like to talk. I do not understand athletes wearing, or just like people, champions, right? They're both champions. Wearing other schools' colors and then say, like, I can wear their colors except for A&M. Ain't happening. But the logo? I don't get that. I'll never understand that. Actually, I'll take that back. There is one team that I would support, right, like that. That'd be Tennessee because they got a bunch of. But my reasoning is different, right? It's because they got a bunch of black people over there. But outside of them, I don't get it. Because obviously you could be like, okay, well maybe they have that type of reasoning with Virginia, but I bet they change for another team when they go there. I bet they change for another team when they go there. So it just don't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, I'm a Longhorn. I ain't about to rock somebody else's stuff. So I don't know. That stuff doesn't make sense to me. It's just interesting. Maybe I'm just unprofessional like that, but I'll happily lose on that one. That's totally fine with me.
Where else are you finding that? Like, that's a testament to you guys and the coaching staff. And I also want to know, how do you manage dealing with two very different groups of people, as in like the men and the women?
Yeah.
Because you coach two programs.
Yeah.
That's that's like how many athletes?
60. Yeah.
60. Yeah.
It's funny, because oftentimes I'd say this to our administration. I'm like, well, soccer coaches are coaching one gender. I'm coaching both.
Yeah, right.
It's different. But it's not our
cut me my check
sport, right? I don't know. This year in particular, we've been doing things a little bit differently between the men and the women, and I'll tell you why. But our practices, a lot more of our practices have been split gender.
Okay.
Like the first 6 weeks, probably 50% were combined and 50% were split. We've never done that before at all. We've always just kind of done everything together.
Yeah.
Main reason is, both of our teams are in a pretty big transitional periods for very different reasons. The women obviously have won 5 in a row, and I think we've got 11 new swimmers on the women's side. So over, close to half the women's team is brand new. Yeah. And so to separate them a little bit and let them formulate their own identity and, bond a little bit.
Identity. I just got off. I had a one-on-one call with an athlete today, and we spoke about that. He's been kind of jacking around a little bit, so I had to get on his case about his identity and just needing to be inspired to be something beyond himself and decide what he wants his identity to represent. So that's what this guy, they know what they're doing out there. You rarely hear people say identity. You hear culture. Identity is different. So, they ain't no learn to swim program, that's for sure.
Was important too on the women's side. It's the first time in 6 years we've been without a Douglas or a Walsh.
Right.
And so it's just different. Again, a little bit of a transitional period in a great way. And then the men, for very different reasons, we've got this historic.
Should we? I'm already on it.
Cash back.
The best freshman class in NCAA history here.
Yeah.
And so
No. Remember, there's schools outside of the University of Virginia, best class in your history.
we also have 10 freshman guys and 21 guys on the team total. So half our team is freshman guys. And so for similar to the women, having them together, let them bond and formulate their own identity and dynamic and stuff was important. So we've done a lot differently this year, separated. It's been great. The women were very skeptical and worried about that.
Really?
Yeah. They were like, they love training with the guys. They love being around the guys. They're comic relief, right?
Yes, always.
And plus, it's just more people to race and they push them. So they enjoy being around the guys. And so they were really worried that it was going to be detrimental to that benefit. They asked me, like, what happens if this is beneficial to only one team and detrimental?
Boom. I'll tell you right now, it is. Okay, one, the girls are getting someone to chase, so shout out to them. You know, that's why they're swimming so fast. But then the guys' side, you got to think like somebody's training level is coming down and somebody's going up. Like there's consider Ledecky, right? She just went under 15. She can handle men's training. So for girls not Ledecky, something's gonna have to weaken. You see what I'm saying? So it's also very telling. I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole, but he knows the truth. He knows that the girls are about to lose a huge advantage, but I think he's trying to ditch the thing that he's only a women's coach. I think he's trying to prove that he can be a men's coach, and I think it might be to the detriment of coaching the women's team. You know, because when they're together, guys' testosterone lowers when they're around familiar women for too long. So you basically have your team competing at a handicap for how many years. And I think girls, it's something like that, but it's different. It's the reverse because intersex competition increases. So, sorry, ladies.
To another team,
Right.
You know them. And I told him, I was like, one, I'm not going to do something that's going to be detrimental to the women.
Yes, he will. Yes, he will. All right. You gotta remember, guys, coaches are people too, man. They got their own goals, right? Now, he's at UVA. I'm going to use the word abandoned because that's probably how the athletes feel. He abandoned, even though it was probably justified and the kids were okay with it. He abandoned NC State to chase his own dreams. So you don't think he all of a sudden stopped chasing his dreams? How naive are you? Or just not forward thinking, I guess is the right term.
Yeah.
And so I'm confident this will be good. And I told him, I was like, at worst, it's going to be like, you know, it won't affect you one way or the other. But I think they've actually really enjoyed it. I think they still really enjoy being with the guys, but there was a practice. I wasn't even here. I was traveling for something.
And observe, he hasn't said one time how the guys feel about it.
And I heard about it when I got back, but Tess Howley had gotten up after practice and gave this great motivational speech to the women, just the girls. And like that would have never happened if they were together.
If the guys were there.
So it's really, I think it's allowed them to just blossom a little bit, particularly this year when you need people to step up into those leadership roles, and from both a leadership but also a performance, perspective, because you don't have, Gretchen, like you kind of know, like in a relay last year or the last four, Gretchen never lost a relay.
I know.
Gretchen's never been on a relay that lost. So, and the girls on the relays would know, okay, well, we're going to win this relay.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm just too soon into this, but he hasn't talked about them the way he's talking about the women's team, he hasn't talked about the men's team once in the same light. So maybe it's early and maybe it happens later. I wish, I understand that the part where you put segmenting into your thing is annoying, but dang.
And now it's like, we can still have that, but it's going to take four. Not that a relay didn't always take four, but one person could be off, still going to win.
Yeah.
When you've got a Gretchen Walsh on your relay.
Yeah.
And so it's just been great. And I think we've seen so many of our women step up like dramatically from a performance perspective, but also a leadership. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Do you adjust your mentality or coaching now that it's just the men's group?
Here we go.
I don't that much.
Uh-oh. I kind of said this earlier. This is why he's going to be one of the, not that he isn't, because he probably is already, no, Richard Quick is probably better. But, a great women's coach. Go watch a football practice, right? I remember Kirby Smart was cussing out his I think it depends, right? So, okay, so if you're coaching the men as men and the girls are with her, and you coach the women as men, so I guess it depends on how you answer this question. Are you coaching your group to the standards of men who are faster, or are you coaching to the middle, or both, which is going to help the girls, or are you coaching to the girls, which is going to help the girls? You coach to the men, it's going to help everybody, right? So, like, for example, when I used to coach, we did everything that the guys did. Technique-wise, you know, we got as close as we could, but we did all the things that made men fast, because if we can keep up and compete with men, we're going to be fine against women. So I treated everybody in a more masculine energy, and just in line with my character, which is joking around and stuff, which you got to be able to, you know, kind of like how he is, keep things lighthearted to a degree, because girls are just, they're in the sport for different reasons, and they're just different. But even like, I think about Eddie. Eddie wasn't aggressive, but Eddie had like a silent aggression, right? Very, very, very silent, soft-spoken aggression. And I don't get that from Todd. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he does coach to the men's standards, and that's why the girls are doing so well, and something's just wrong with his ability to coach men. But you got to have a lot more aggression. Or the guys need to be able to feel that aggression, I should say. Because it's ultimately, at the end of the day, it's about respect, right? You could win, like, it's like, okay, you got all these girls titles, but I'm not a girl. I'm faster than the girls. And you're not that aggressive. Like, what are we doing here? At the end of the day, men are aggressive. So if you don't have that energy as my leader, somebody's not going to get what they want out of the men's side. Whether it's the coach or the athletes, or both.
Because I've always just kind of been like, loose cannon anyway.
Yeah, like what you get is what you get.
Yeah, whether it's the girls or the guys. And so, you know, I mean, I'm Italian, so I tend to curse a lot. And so,
yeah.
But
okay, shout out. So it sounds like he coaches either to the middle or more to the men's side.
But not in like a negative
Like a
way.
hype
Yeah.
Okay, well, take that back.
Hype way. And so they're kind of all just used to it. And so I don't necessarily know that it's much of a change for me. But
I also take that back about what I said. I don't remember what I said, but if he's cussing, okay, I can rock with that.
Personally, other than the fact that I can just be with the guys and they can be together and they can be dudes, and then, you know, the girls can. I don't know that the girls are any different.
Yeah.
I feel like you're juggling like 78 different things, because also the pros
Yeah.
and recruiting and like everything. Like, I don't think coaches get enough credit for. It's harder than being an athlete in some ways. So for you, what is the hardest part about coaching that you find personally?
I don't know that it's any of it's hard.
Okay.
because I love it. To me, it's not hard. And I, you know, it's funny because internally we've embraced this motto that we thrive in chaos. But we kind of do. Like, not here. There are very few.
It's so funny, like some of the stuff in swimming that's like, oh, uber cool, and it's like, yo, if you say that on a basketball court, you get laughed at the gym. So it's just interesting.
There's very few athletic departments, I think, that are funding up to 30. That's absurd.
Yeah.
For swimming.
Yeah, non-rep.
Worked out with the right people have come here.
Yeah.
Whether the best or no matter what their ranking is from a recruiting perspective, the right people have come here. And people who, you know, go elsewhere, they're probably meant to not be here.
Yeah.
Or they realize later that they should be here, and then they transfer.
Yeah.
Like Claire.
We maybe made a little mistake.
Yeah, like Claire, that's right.
Yeah.
Or I feel like they're weeded out. They're weeded out very quickly because the culture will be like kind of spit them out if they're not a good attitude, great person.
And you know, like there's very few times, if ever, we've actually said you can't come here because we don't like your personality or we don't think it's a good fit. I think it just organically works out.
What type of person comes to UVA?
Well, one, somebody that's really competitive and hard, you know. I don't know, like,
I'm skipping that because it's more or less the same once you get to the top universities. They're all looking for the same thing. You know, you're always fast at that level. So they're looking for more interpersonal things, their identity, and it's usually competitive, maybe a little bit of a dickhead, at least for the guy's side.
I would say, like, reflect, like, taking time to reflect has been something that I don't do well. So I will say, so my Achilles heel and my superpower are actually the exact same thing. They're the exact same thing. And it is my ability to move on from in a minute, not even in a minute, in a second. Like, if something bad happens, I'm over it in 30 seconds and it's done. I've forgotten about it. We're moving on. So it's great. Like, I can just put it, you know, behind me. I don't hold a grudge, right? Like, I don't keep dwelling on things. Yeah. I focus on what we can control and don't worry about other stuff. But it's also my Achilles heel because we could win 5 national championships in a row, and literally as soon as I'm getting out of the pool, maybe before I'm jumping in the pool, I'm thinking about what's next.
Are you like that? Are you like that personally too, or just in coaching?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
So have you ever given yourself a moment to sit down and think about what you've done?
You know, I don't know.
Let's take a minute right now.
Todd, we're gonna strap you to this chair and you're gonna think about what you've done.
It's more times like these because I'm not that I'm being forced to do this with you guys, but I'm forced to sit down and talk about something.
Right, we're forcing you to talk about it. Yeah.
And the first national championship we won, they did a nice, like, long 5-minute video, like, recapping the season. University did, and they did it.
All right, guys, 30 minutes. You know, I'm going to put the video in the description box below, so if you want to go finish watching it, I highly recommend it. I like his Achilles heel comment. That's also my Achilles heel. I would bet it's a lot of other high-performing people's Achilles heel. It's just this, like, looming death or this looming shadow of death that, like, you're not successful enough yet. You need to hurry. Like, you don't have time to celebrate. You don't have time to stop. And it's something I've gotten a lot better at. I don't really have this problem anymore. Like, it's called being present, right? Like, I'll allow myself to be present and engage with my emotions and my feelings and enjoy things. And at least for me, the thing that allows me to do it is I plan meticulously. I'm a very tactical individual, so I don't have to worry about the next thing. I already know what it is. It's on its way. It's going the right way. So it's in motion. It's nothing to scramble about. So I can just, you know, enjoy the roses. You know, I can enjoy the roses, knowing that I've already planned for everything. So, like, why am I not enjoying the roses? You know what I'm saying? Like, the plan's there. There's no reason for me to freak out. So, and if you're a member of our Rakeley content, you can imagine how meticulous these plans are to the point where I can chill. But I also get the point where it's, like, easy to move on. Like, Rakeley is built off of that, you know? Like, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? You know, if we have the one-on-one review section where we cover weekly stuff, right? And the stuff that I have in there works, but I'm still like, what's next? What's next? Like, I got to be further ahead. I need more of a buffer in case someone starts catching me. What's next? What's next? I need to keep up the perception that we are ahead of the curve. What's next? What's next? What's next? Right? Or the perspective, I guess, because it's what's actually going on from the big picture. Everybody's looking at it. But yeah, let me know. What do y'all think about Todd? What do y'all think about him as a men's coach? I think, you know, obviously he had great success at NC State. Great success at U Wilmington before that with men, right? So I think it's going to be interesting to see what type of coach he is for the elite men, right? Me personally, I think he's going to struggle a little bit just because of his temperament. Like, it tends to be more built for coaching women. And all right, let me just say, I said if you know, you know. I'm gonna go ahead and go over it real quick. God. in sport, if you want the most, all right, I'm gonna say this, yeah, because the honesty will help some coach out there. In sport, you have to coach if you want to get the best out of them. And in my opinion, give them the best coaching experience. Is you have to coach them like we're called men light, LITE. And what I mean like that is girls usually tend to go through life, especially if they're pretty, right, with yes men everywhere, yes men and women. You know, they lie to each other about things. Oh yeah, that just looks good on you, girl. Right? So, and they even know themselves that men's relationships tend to last longer. Like my closest friend, I've known him since the 3rd grade, right? Shout out to JJ. So, and a lot of times, like, people treat their feelings over facts, right? So if you can, and another one is, at least in my reality, they are not as funny. Right? And I say that because when I'm out on a date with a girl, I got to know how to fake laugh. And I'm not saying that the girls aren't funny, but you can tell he knows how to laugh at or find the humor and how to laugh at girls' jokes. If you go back and watch it, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Like, his laughs are timed up very, like, there's never like a moment where he's laughing about something because he thought it was funny. It's kind of like a mirroring. And girls they respond very well to that. His overall temperament, like, that's something guys will think is fake. Like, if they happen, it's like that wasn't that funny. Like, I thought it was funny. I'm also stupid. Like, why do you think it was funny? It wasn't funny. Like, you don't know me well enough for that to be funny between us. So I think, and that can have a huge impact. When I say the thing about like the aggression, like, there's a bunch of things like that. But if you're able to take that like inherent respect that men tend to have for each other because of our aggression and our capability for violence towards each other, and you can kind of give that experience, wow, let me re-say this. If you can give the feeling of that experience to girls where they're like, okay, I'm actually being, like, this guy does not care about lying to me. He doesn't care about if the truth makes me feel good. He's going to actually care about me and give me what I need to get better. And he's not going to sugarcoat it, right? The women respect him. So I think he's going to be, like I said, that's at least the way I look at it, right? It's one thing I learned about from dating women is their feelings are like the only thing that matter. And selling is emotional, right? In business. So, and really it's not so much emotion, it's really their feelings, right? Their inner caveman, their gut reaction, their instinct. And he connects very well with women as a coach. We're not talking about, obviously, anything NCAA illegal, right? He has a lot of good mannerisms that women respond very well to, female athletes, I guess I should say. That's going to allow him to give them the honest experience that they're looking for. I'm going to go on a limb and say most girl athletes have never been cussed at before. So there you go, right? Like, that's a very visceral experience where to a girl, I would imagine it'd be like, oh, this is what it's like being a guy in a guy's locker room. Right, you don't necessarily grow up. Not that girls do or don't watch sports, but if you think about whatever sport experience they have had or like seen like clips of, it's probably a football coach or basketball coach laying into their team, cussing them out. Right, it's never swimming and who knows what goes on between the male coach and the male swimmers. Right, so all of a sudden this thing that they're seeing, they get to experience it, and they've seen champions being coached like this, right? So you can imagine if they've never had that, how that's going to make them feel about the coaching they're getting, about themselves, about the success they're about to have. So, yeah, I think this guy's going to be killing it for a long time on the girl side, just because he's going to be able to give them a feeling and experience as athletes that most coaches won't do. I don't even think, somebody tell me if I'm wrong, if girl coaches cuss at their girls, I'd imagine that they're probably getting Title IX. right? So, shout out to Coach Todd. I mess with him. Come on our podcast. Come on the Night Swim podcast, Coach Todd. Yeah, come holler at us. Me and Elvis. I'll put that down below too. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Hopefully you just, that was a lesson that you can take with yourself. Be careful because all kids, there's more club coaches than there are college coaches. So I'm assuming you're a parent or a club coach. Everything you say is going to get back to the parents. So don't be out here being stupid. Be authentic to yourself. But I know personally in my own life, I got some really nice letters after I left my first team where the kids basically said like, hey, I used to call one swimmer, I coached her, I think I said this in one of my other podcasts, I taught her how to swim when she was 4 years old, and when she graduated and she was 18, I used to call her my favorite AARP swimmer because she was retiring, right? And she put those exact words. She was like, thanks for making me laugh after a hard practice or when I felt like crying because things were so difficult, like with your jokes, calling me your favorite AARP swimmer, like things like that, right? So, like I said, you got to understand that balance. But, and he definitely, if you don't understand what I'm saying, you just, unfortunately, ain't got experience with women like that, but he's got it. He knows he's got it. Whether it's natural or learned behavior, he's got it. He gonna be kicking ass for a long time. So yeah, hopefully guys, you're able to learn this stuff. If you're a coach, hopefully this is a valuable insight. And let me know what y'all think. Let me know what y'all think about Coach Todd. What do you think about his success was going to be with the men's team? Like I said, I personally don't think it's going to be too great, at least right away. Because his mannerisms are suited more for getting the most out of girls. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, let me know what y'all think, guys. Shout out to Coach Todd. Shout out to Unfiltered Waters. Thanks for hanging. Hit that notification bell. Subscribe. Hit the like button. Thanks for hanging. Peace.